I'm here recording my next episode of She Hustles. I'm here today with Ashley Baptiste and Gus Calabrese. Welcome, guys. I'm so excited to have you. These guys know what they're talking about when it comes to events. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and then we'll get started.
Why don't you start?
You want me to start? I'll start. Hi, thank you so much, Rebecca, for having us on. I'm Ashley Baptiste. I'm the CEO of Conferences Connect. I've been in the business conference industry for over 20 years and love bringing people together, love connecting people, love when there's idea exchange because people are together around a common issue or a common challenge that they're facing, and then they get a chance to meet with each other and learn. So that's what I'm all about. That's kind of my mission. And then I met this guy.
I'm Gus Calabrese. I go by the events guy. I bring people, product, and ideas together through events. I would say it would be in-person events prior to COVID. Now we do hybrid events, virtual events of any kind of nature. But I've been I brought my first. I look back on this and I just realized earlier this year, I ran my first event when I was 14 years old. I wanted to go skiing, and my parents wouldn't take me skiing every weekend, so I had to figure out a way. And the only way I could figure out was if I ran a bus trip, I could go skiing and I could go free, and I could bring all my friends. So I brought like 90 people skiing a couple times a year when I was 14 years old. And
Pretty brilliant.
So it was there actually was one event earlier than that.
Okay.
You know, everybody has a lemon.
Like lemonade stand.
Yeah, everybody has a lemonade stand as an entrepreneur. So I had a lemonade stand, and I was like, "There's no way this works. There's not enough cars driving by. There's not enough people working by." So I was about 8 years old, and I organized a carnival in my neighborhood, and we charged $1 a head. I think we made $6 the day of the carnival. We had the mean old lion in the tent where we dressed up a dog, or we had people doing freak shows and stuff like that. It was kind of cool.
I think it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
We are. Yeah. Ashley and I are a couple. I was producing what you might call fun events, beer festivals, wine events, parties, 7,500 people, big bar crawls, 15,000 people. I sold my operating portion of that company in 2014. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And Ashley's like,
I'm like, dude, you keep telling me I need to get my email marketing better. I need to do a better job with my website. So at that point I said, can you just work for me for like 6 months?
Now here's the crazy thing.
Was that like 6 years ago?
It's 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the job I've held the longest in my life. It's nuts.
Me too. And you're never worked for anybody as long as I have for myself.
So anyway.
That's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Very cool. So you guys were both events people even before you got together and have taken off with this business that you currently are running. And you mentioned, Gus, hybrid events. Like, I know, so since COVID, I imagine it's been challenging to hold face-to-face events. Is that something that you guys are still doing? And what exactly is a hybrid?
So,
may I?
Go ahead.
So, yes, I had been running in-person business conferences for, over 20 years until COVID hit. And then actually it was less than a month after everything was shut down. We actually hosted our first paid
virtual event.
I mean, it wasn't a webinar. It was interactive. We threw it on Zoom. We were like, okay, everybody's at home. Let's do a mini conference on working from home. And we had somebody talked about how to set up, your ergonomic space and getting the right space in your home office. And somebody spoke about change management because it was such a upheaval in everybody's lives. And then somebody actually also spoke who she runs a company that's completely virtual. So she talked about hiring people interviewing people, hiring people, onboarding people. Anyway,
virtually and all over the world. She had employees all over the world.
She had employees all over the world, all different time zones. So
before COVID.
So she talked about how to kind of manage people that way, and this was, you know, and it was interesting because, you know, everybody at the time was like, oh, you know, we're going to be back in the office in like 2 weeks.
So from that, we ran about 30 virtual events. And just the second week of September, we ran our first in-person hybrid event. And
it's really different. So the thing is this, so like we're, you know, you can conceptualize, it's not that difficult, an in-person meeting. And you can conceptualize a virtual meeting, but putting the two together was it was like having a third kid where you only have two hands to hold the first two and the other one's running around like all over the place. So
it required 3 teams.
From an audio-visual standpoint, it was incredibly complex, and then it was a matter of making sure that, like, I was there to be the host for our in-person folks. We had to bring somebody else on. Gus was like,
I was a firefighter.
He was the guy handling all the AV, making sure everything was going right in the background. And I actually had to bring somebody in to host the virtual folks, because we wanted to make sure that you know, the people who spent money to buy a virtual ticket, you know, we needed to make sure they were taken care of, they were engaged, and that they were. But it was neat. The guy, I mean, the AV guy was able to bring in questions, you know, from, you know, guy in New York who, you know, his face gets up on the screen. He's asking the question of the whole group, and to really weave that into a conversation.
It truly was like doing a live television broadcast where you bring the audience in to ask questions, like in person.
You're not
like,
sure
when they're not there. It was like I've done TV before. It was a lot like running a TV show with multiple camera feeds and stuff like that.
It was like juggling when you don't know how to juggle.
Yeah. Like I mean, I imagine I don't think I could imagine. I imagine that it would just be difficult. Like, how do you even?
It was a lot more complex than I thought it was going to be, but it also went extremely well. You know, there's always that moment where you're like, oh, hey, you know, John in New York has a question. Let's, you know. And then that sort of lag of 20 seconds, it feels like 5 minutes. But, you know, and then John gets up and his face is full screen. And you're like, oh, this is great. Look, he's right there.
Yeah.
So,
there was even a part of the event that Ashley didn't know about. And she just found out the other day.
There was a part I didn't know
about. I told you about this. We had our in-person host, or Ashley being our in-person host.
Yes, I did.
And our virtual host were sitting next to each other, just similar to Ashley and I right now. So they're trading notes. What Ashley didn't know was we were talking to the virtual host through her headpiece, separate from what Ashley was doing, telling her, asking her what was going on online, and bringing those people in where Ashley thought that was just sort of being directed and everybody was board with it. But we were actually directing what she was doing online through her earpiece. And Ashley's like, really? I didn't know you guys were talking to her.
No, she seems so distracted. No, it was great. I mean, I was thrilled. I'm thrilled knowing that there was that amount of attention to detail from the group that we had. I mean, we hired an AV crew to come in and do this. And you know, the cost structure is completely different from running a normal conference. So you're just like, I hope this works.
Tell them what happened on Monday.
What happened on Monday?
We got a review. Somebody wrote into us like, this was the most amazing. This person was online and was like, this was the most amazing event for us and our team. I cannot believe it was so entertaining and such a great time.
Yeah.
Wasn't that pretty good?
Yeah. So he got so much value from it and just really enjoyed it. And I mean, and that's that moment, right? Because everybody's turning to us. It's happened for years. People ask me, so how's the conference going for you? And I'm like, this isn't my conference. This is your conference. Like, you're the one who came here. You're the one who spent the money to be here. You're the one who left the kids. And, you know, like, this is what you're here to do. I want to make sure you have an amazing experience, because that is what gives me fulfillment. So,
what would you say? So you had this event, it went like, I mean, probably most people wouldn't be able to make it go how you guys made it go. But what makes a successful event? Like, how do you know that it's successful, and what are the components to get there?
So interesting you asked that. So
secret sauce.
Here's an interesting. So we ran an event not long ago, and everything was successful for the event We lost money on it. And I have to look at it and go like, do you know what? The fact that we lost money on it is only one thing that went wrong with the event. Everything else was perfect. So I hesitate to call the event a success, 100% success, because of the financial component.
For us, it wasn't a success, but the people who attended
and all the other aspect of it,
and all the other speakers loved it. They had an amazing experience. So the only part of it that didn't work was for us, for the financial side. But it's like, but all of the other ingredients.
We had a lot of new moving parts on that event that we had never done before.
Yeah, so I'd say for us, it was a matter of, okay, how do we duplicate the parts that worked, and then make sure that we can take care of the
get more money in the door, which we're doing.
And it really was just a matter of not enough people knew about it.
So a success for an event. Number one, when we put an event together, there's a goal.
Yeah,
people are
a goal.
But the people aren't necessarily what you think the people are for the goal. What's the goal of the event? I ran an event one time where the event was for a very large corporation, and it was a hiring event. And we disguised it as a business networking event, and we invited salespeople in high turnover jobs, such as car sales and phone sales and stuff like that. The goal of the event was to hire 2 people. It didn't matter how many people were in the room. The end goal, the end results of the event is we hired 3 people, and we had a pretty successful party for 40 or 60 people, however many people were there, and the client was really happy about it. So what's the goal? What's the goal of the event? The goal is to, have 1,800 people at a New Year's Eve party. There be no fights. Nobody's taken away in an ambulance. Nobody gets arrested.
Gee, Gus, what kind of parties do
you've been to these parties that I've thrown like this, and you know what goes on. You do an event for 5,000 people. Somebody's getting taken away in an ambulance. I guarantee you, the police are going to be there at some point. It's Philly. I guarantee you, somebody's going to get seriously hurt, and it's just people. Also, 5% of the people will not show up at that event, and that's just
unfortunately sometimes they're staff too.
Yeah,
like sometimes people just don't show up, and you're like.
My business partner just had to cancel a major beer festival in Philadelphia because he didn't have enough staff.
Yeah.
He sold the event out, and he had to cancel and refund because he didn't have enough staff.
What in that circumstance, if it's the day of or the week of, I mean, it happened. It was
I don't know.
It was his 40th birthday. It was his although this is an event, it wasn't a business event. It was his 40th birthday, and I had a live band.
That's an event.
And on Thursday, party's Saturday. They're like, yeah, sorry, we have somebody else that needs us. It was like a bar they used to, like a bar that had more priority over Rebecca, who's only going to pay them for one session.
Whoa. But here's the deal, though. Here's the deal on that.
No.
That's not cool for a band to do that. But we've had that happen. But in our business, we're professionals. I got a Rolodex of other people that can fill in for that spot.
Yeah.
And I just go, asshole didn't show up. So I say, we need you guys here. I had one night I was running a business networking event, and the manager reneged on the contract and told me he wasn't going to do what was in the contract. So I had one of my staff members. So I went across the street to another venue.
This is so Gus.
It's so me. I went across the street to another venue, and I said, "Hey, I'm about to bring 200 people here. I need this, and this. I guarantee you we're going to spend this much money. Do you want them here?" And he's like, "Yeah, bring them over." And I had my staff member stand outside of the other venue and tell everybody the venue's been changed and pushed over there. And manager had to watch 200 people walk across the street that were going to be in his place spending money.
Imagine?
What the hell is wrong with people? I've been running events, and I've run my own businesses for many, many, many years, and I'm a super fair individual. But if you flat out renege on a deal, I will. I will make right by me.
Yeah. You have to,
Yes, I mean, this is really what it comes down to is, yes, we're in the events business and we get, a rush out of like these crazy things that happen at the last minute. But, Rebecca, what it really is about is making sure the people who come to our events have an amazing and valuable experience. And
managing expectations.
Absolutely. We want to make sure our attendees have a great experience, our speakers have a great experience, our sponsors have a great experience. Even the guys who did the AV for us in Fort Lauderdale were like, wow, this was really great. We really enjoyed working with you guys. And we were just like, you saved our butts, like, thank you.
Yeah.
So it was just, it's when that magic comes together and everybody got something. That's
win.
That brings me just so much fulfillment. And that's what I'm hooked to. And that's why I'm still in this
create
business.
Situations.
I'm crazy.
I want my sponsors to say, when's the next event we're in?
Yeah.
My attendees to say, we're coming to the next event. We're bringing our
my team.
Yeah. I want you, Rebecca, when you have a last minute fallout of a guest, you call Ashley and Gus, because
the band just screwed me. Who do you know? So tell me, what did you end up doing? I'm dying to know.
I just I also had a DJ, so we just didn't have a band.
Got it.
It's fine. It was fine. It was fine. But it was for Jose and Jose's whole family. It was a Latin band. They were going to play like the music from Jose's favorite band. I got over it, but it's challenging when you're in that moment of, oh my gosh, I have all these people attending and now I'm left with figuring something out, which I suppose is exactly why you should be hiring a professional.
It
happens a lot. I'll tell you.
It's
may I?
very rare that goes perfect.
But that's the funny thing is that I had been in the industry for I don't know how long and how many conferences I had put together. But it had been a few years where I realized, like, the brochure that comes out, and yes, we used to do printed brochures. I've been in the business for a while. With the agenda and the speakers and everything lined up. And I think it was the first time it happened that actually how it was written on the marketing piece was exactly what happened. It was maybe 3 or 4 years in where like every speaker showed up, everybody was on time. I didn't have to shuffle anybody around, and I was just like, wow.
We have 12 to 14 speakers at each one of our businesses, or each one of our business conferences now.
Yeah.
That's our format. Every one of my next events coming up for the next 24 months, one of those speakers is not going to show up. I don't know which one, but I know one will not show up. It happens every single time.
And I have to say, the more comfortable that we've become with the content that we're presenting and the people that we're bringing together. And I think it's just the confidence too. And just knowing like, you know what, somebody blew out, shame on him or her, or, too bad or whatever, but we can still create a very valuable learning experience, a discussion. Like, let's have what nobody else is willing to talk about. Let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
We'll shut off the cameras or we'll do, something, but just something where people can really talk about real stuff.
I got a funny story. So
I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's me. I was in a pre-event meeting about 8 months before the event was happening. It was for a beer festival. We were meeting with an Irish pub, and the owner happened to be Irish, which is pretty rare that happened, especially in Philadelphia. But he was from Ireland, and
from Ireland.
But he bought the business from a guy who was a very good operator, and the guy was still involved in the business. And we were explaining to him all the pitfalls that could happen doing it the way he wanted to do it and doing the way we wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And just tell him exactly, here's what's going to happen. Just like we hear from our mentors. Yeah, if you do it that way, here's what's going to happen.
Right.
And he's like, mate, I can tell you've been in you this is not your first time at the rodeo when it comes to events. I said, yeah, but I will tell you this. Every time I go to the rodeo, I see something I've never seen before. So every single event, something's going to happen that I've never seen before. And I just have to go like, all right, we'll put that one in the MBA book. It's just
And you have to just be prepared for something to happen that you won't be prepared for.
Yep.
So why are events, I guess, so important?
Oh, I think the answer to that is that humans need to connect. That we and how we are made and how we are the energy that happens when we come together. It's critical that people meet, and I think even though we've done a spectacular job of pivoting to all of the technologies that are available for us to do this kind of thing, it still doesn't replace the magic of when I get to see Rebecca Kramer in person, or when I get to see people who are just working on the same thing, complete strangers who are working on trying to solve a problem and come together and be in that space and create that energy.
It happened to us today.
That's me.
Happened to us today. We went to this. What do we call it? The
trade show.
The trade show. And literally, we went there looking for something. I didn't know what we were looking for. All I know is we need to find something. And when we got all done the trade show, I said there was only one product I was interested in. And she didn't even see it. I said, let's go back there and look at that product. Let's go talk to the guy. Okay. And I start talking to the gentleman, and it's got a really unique, something different that's not out there. And I start banging ideas off him, and he's coming back to me like, oh my God, like this can be a business. Like this can be a huge business, different from what you were thinking and different from what I was thinking. And I think that when people are coming together, just going back and forth, and he brought two other people into the conversation. That was really, really funny. We started talking about Mr. Grant Cardone, and he calls his friend over.
He's like,
hey, this guy's Grant Cardone, right?
Like,
and this guy comes running over. Yo, Grant! I said, I'm not Grant Cardone. I said, no, I'm the same height as Grant Cardone. I'm not Grant Cardone. The other guy thought I was. It was so funny. But
the kind of thing that would never happen on a Teams call.
Yeah,
right?
It never happened. Yeah, exactly.
It's just that anecdotal stuff that happens when we're together. And I think for what we do in bringing people together, either virtually or in person, it's about like coming together around a common issue, a common challenge, a common problem. One of the conferences we have coming up is about women advancing their careers. And when I talk to women in all different areas of different industries, it's, this sense of I'm not where I should be. I'm not making what I should be. I'm not in the position that I thought I would be in. I'm not sure how to get ahead, or I'm working bell to bell, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I barely get a break. And I feel like I'm failing my, family. So we're like, all right, let's put a conference together that actually talks about these things. Like, how can I do a better job of negotiating my next career move? Or how do I get visibility within my own company? Or how can I develop some leadership skills so that I'm at least in action toward my goal to advance my career? And we have people talking about work-life balance as well, and just how to avoid burnout and things that you can do. And so that's actually our next conference coming up. It's virtual. And it's called the Power Conference to Advance Women.
Also,
so we're excited about that.
We're also in talks about creating events to solve any business marketing need. We've done a lot of what's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And helping business owners, or not business owners, just businesses itself. I give me a business, give me who your customer is, tell me what problem you're trying to solve. I can probably design an event around that, which becomes a more fun way to get the message out there. I used to do, this is really interesting, I used to own car lots and repair shops. I used to do a Monday night, like once a month.
I think this is brilliant.
I used to have women, I would serve wine and snacks, and here Gus dressed as a mechanic, not in business. And I would say, come to my shop for an event, networking event, and bring the manual from your car. And we're going to go through your manual and show you what the different parts of your car are, so you can talk intelligently about your car. And I used to do this for free and create that relationship.
I think this is so brilliant.
Yeah, it sounds like from everything that you're explaining, it honestly sounds like you're like just hosting activities to solve people's problems.
Yeah. I've never heard it put that way before, but yeah, it's exactly what we do. I like that.
Right? But not just one person. There's like what did you say? 13 people? 12 to 14 people?
No, actually speakers.
Helping you with all your different problems?
That's the speakers.
That's how many speakers. We had 59 people at that last event.
Yeah.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. They could have, so if there's 13 different problems around one specific topic, why would you not want to participate in that event? That's
exactly because you're going to learn things from just hearing somebody talk. And it's not even about necessarily whether or not they solved it, but just how they approached the problem, right? So you have a company that's heavily siloed, heavily regulated, decides, okay, we're gonna try to deal with this way, or we're going to use this methodology, or we're going to use something, and for somebody else in the room to go, my God, we did that too, and it was a huge disaster, and here's why. Or next time you do that, try to do this, and this first, it'll go faster. And then all of a sudden, I mean, these are multi-million-dollar problems that are getting solved,
if not billion-dollar problems,
in one space over the course of 2 days. So that's again, I get a little high. I'm like, oh, this is great.
We also
everybody's learning something.
We solve problems for fun things too.
We do.
What are you going to do in the year? Come to our event. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, I was even thinking, like you said, you solve problems. Like, one of the most favorite events that we go to every year, we're attendees, we're sponsors and attendees. It's called Whiskey Festival. It's in Philadelphia. We get to sample. They have 1,500 brands there. They have bottles there that are $4,000 that you get to sample.
The first time I went, Gus was like, I wasn't the designated driver.
No, we went to a business networking
I was like,
event.
I don't designated driver at one of the. You gotta take a taxi.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like whiskey, and he's like, there's other stuff there. And then next thing I know, I'm like triple.
Start off on that night. Start off on that night. We went to a business networking event first, and she had 2 glasses of wine, and she goes to grab a third, and I grabbed it out of her hand, and I put it down. I said, "We're going to the whiskey festival." I said, "Trust me." She does trust me most of the time.
Yeah, that was her.
2 hours later.
I know.
2 hours later, she's sitting here like this, like
3 glasses,
trying
okay, I want to try
tequila,
that too.
adult chocolate milk, and a 18-year-old scotch. She's trying to sample them all.
The trick to those events is because I don't know about you guys, but they have staggered like entry times. So you can't do it early, or your day ends like early.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You have to take usually there's one, it's called the Rocky Mountain Wine Festival. It's actually right around this time. It's fabulous. And when you think about it, events, yes, you're learning, you're solving problems, but you're also realizing that this is what you want. Yeah, oh my gosh, this person is an expert. Oh my gosh, I love this product. Oh my gosh, I want to buy. So it's getting the product, the service, the person out to more people in order for them to know about something that they didn't even necessarily know was either they didn't know that they had a problem, or they didn't know what the resource was, right?
Exactly. Right. And what happens in that moment is that person gains confidence. That person is like, oh, I'm not the only one who has this as a problem. Okay, that's good. Oh, there are other people who have this problem too, and we're all trying to figure out how to solve it. That's good. So when they walk out of our event, ideally, they have not just more information, more contacts, more all of that. They feel more confident about themselves as in terms of solving the problem. They had some fun. They got to laugh with other people who have the same issues. And, when there's somebody in the front of the room describing, some crap situation, everybody's like, yeah, us too. Yeah, I totally relate to that. It elevates this confidence that somebody's like, okay, you know what? I can do this.
Something we don't talk about a whole lot, but
which is shocking because we do talk a lot.
No, I mean this is serious. And, our main business we deal with, we have in the past dealt with the utility industry and the aerospace industry. people die in that industry if people don't do things right, and people die every year in a major utility company. There's almost a death every year of a worker, and so it's really important. A lot of times these problems they're solving, and the problems they're solving could literally save people's lives in that industry. And we heard about the one time somebody talked about with a CEO, somebody early on in her career, she asked why is safety so important, and the CEO said, "Tell me which person on my team is going to die this year, so I can go warn their family now." And that was a pretty, so then that gets real serious with that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So that they're the other problems we're solving. Big.
Absolutely. And people being able to learn, I mean, especially if there's a safety issue. When it comes to, so you said that you're talking about, thinking about possibly doing an event that speaks to marketing. And you also talked about maybe an event that could have been successful with better marketing. Why would you say that marketing an event is so important?
It's pretty much all I do.
Promote.
I've been doing it for years. If people don't know you, they can't. We know what Grant will say, they can't flow you, but it's the worst thing that can happen to us.
And it has happened.
It happens every time. Wow, I didn't know you had an event on that. I would have attended. And it's like, all right, I failed in getting the message out to you. Yeah. And you can't get it out to everyone, but we do the best we can to try to get our message out all the time, because yes, we can have solutions. It's interesting in this business. We don't sell out every event. I would love to say we sell out every event. We sell out about 20% of our events, and we're usually competing with something else. And it might be a kid's wedding or soccer or football or something like that. We're competing.
Not necessarily.
Our events usually are 2 days long. They usually take 4 days of somebody's lives to attend them. In my prior life, my other company, we sold out every event. We turned it on and sold out. We turned it on and sold out. So we were always trying to scramble. How do we do more events? So the marketing is key to what we do to get the word out, to make sure that attendees know, sponsors know, venues know. When you have a successful event, the other venues, I mean,
definitely.
Ashley and I stay free pretty much any place in the world, because they want us to bring our events there. They know we're quality people. I don't know if we're quality people. We bring quality events. They know
we're quality people.
Yeah.
No, I think it's key. It's the motivation that gets me on the phone, and I think it's in that moment when you're questioning, like, are we over promoting? Are we talking too much about ourselves? Are we talking too much about this?
Never.
And it's like, when I hear people at the end of the conference say what a difference it made for themselves, when I call people 6 months after the conference and they say, oh my gosh, I took what I learned out of that discussion on negotiation, and I completely negotiated a new deal for my my position, or I have a new position now, and my family is much happier with me because I'm nicer, because I have a better. And I'm just like, it's my duty. It is my duty to make sure people know about this event, because it can help people. And I'm just, if I seem like I'm money hungry, I'm not. It's like, no, I want you to know about this, because I know everybody's struggling with something. And if you can glean 2 ideas out of this that can that you can put into action right away, it's better for you. It's better for me. It's better for everybody. And the exposure that our speakers get too is great for them. So, and our sponsors, gosh, if they get a call, hey, I want you guys to come work with our team, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think it's that people could do their own event? So obviously you guys are pros, what you're doing. If I was, I'm an entrepreneur. Let's just say I don't know anything about events. I know that I have a solution to a lot of people's problems. What would be like the first thing that if I was considering doing an event on, like I was going to do it, I was going to create the event and everything. What would be the, like, say the top 3 things that I need to like make sure that I check off the list, or like worry about ahead of time, or how would I get started?
Very simple. And there's so many moving parts on an event. We turn an event on, and we do a lot of events. If I do a 2-hour business networking event, it's 40 hours. It's 40 hours of man hours to get that event to turn on and get ready
you
to
don't
roll.
just throw it. Right.
There's a lot of work behind it, but we do it so naturally, and it's all we do. So number one, and we mentioned it before, what's the goal of the event? If you're
looking to get
if you're selling your hair product, Rebecca, if you're selling your hair product, you say, Gus, I want to invite 50 people, and I want 50 people to sign up for our product tonight. I'd say you're way off base. It's not going to happen. It's an out of bounds goal.
It's kind of like people going to a networking event and expecting to get business from it. I didn't get any business from it. Like,
if you had 2 people sign up, I would call it a huge success on that situation. So number 1, what's the goal? Number 2, who's the target for this event?
Make sure that
no different than a wedding. Who's the target audience? Friends, family, people that love you are your target audience. You're not inviting some Joe off the street. Number 3, what are you going to do to engage them? Why should they attend this event? And why should they, even for Ashley and I, why should they pay us? It costs them $2,000 for a ticket, but it's not $2,000. $2,000, 4 days out of their lives, airfare, hotel rooms, meals. It's a $3,000, $4,000 investment in 4 days of their lives.
Or if it's just an event that you're running for an hour or 2, you still need to provide value. Mm-hmm. You still need to solve a problem. You still need to, and I think that's key.
Value.
If you're not delivering value, if you're not providing something,
and before you deliver value, just like any other business, you have to prove that you have the confidence that this is going to happen and do it the way, and you have to show them that you have the confidence, credibility, to do it that way. And it's really funny because the bigger, and we hear this in business all the time, the larger it is, sort of the easier it is. And it's not that it's less work. It's probably way more work, but the more people involved,
it tends to take a life of its own.
The more people involved,
the more people who are there, and then they start talking, and then they, it's like, okay, good, you guys got that part. I'll go.
When we did beer festivals, it's kind of really interesting. When we did beer festivals, we would bring in the venue. I didn't own a venue. I owned a marketing company and the branding that made the beer festival. The beer festival, we bring in us as our vending. As the marketing specialist, we bring the venue in as the venue specialist, the fun venue. They programmed all the bars, and then we brought the beer team in. And at the end of the day, we paid for the beer so many times at a discount. But the beer brands had this ability to. They were promoting their products there. It's not just there to push product. They want people to say, hey, try this new Coke beer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at the venue, a lot of times we were partners 50-50, and we'd sit around after the event. Kind of funny. I call it trading invoices. We had a pile of invoices. They had a pile of invoices. At the end of the day, someone brought more money in than the other person, and someone had to write a check to the other team. And it usually was not that much money because we spent the money together and we brought the revenue in. Our expenses were so those my events. If I'm involved, I'm just about always making money from the event itself. It's what I do. But for some people, shit, man, if I can bring in, 10 people for $10,000 and sell one of them, and it's a $40,000 product.
Yeah.
Home run. We had fun doing it, and, so that's.
Exactly. So you have to set a goal, figure out who your target is, and what you're going to do to engage them. So those would be the three massive things to consider. Mm-hmm. Now, Ashley, you had mentioned earlier the power of, I missed it, women something. There's an event that you're doing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's the Power Conference to Advance Women. It's a virtual conference series that's coming up starting November 16th, 23rd, 30th, and December 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And basically what we've done is we've listened to our audience who have said that the key things that they are looking for to advance their career are leadership skills, communications, and better work-life balance. Those are sort of the key issues that they're facing right now. So we are in the midst of culminating speakers who are going to talk about either specific, most of them are specific action items that you can do straight away to get ahead in that and to be able to navigate that next step so that you can start 2022 off in a roaring position to improve your career and your work-life balance. It's been a tough couple of years, right? I mean, this has just been nuts. Women have taken the brunt in terms of what they're picking up in home, what they're trying to do.
They're teachers now. All of a sudden,
Oh, man, it's nuts.
I mean, it's massive. I mean, I think about it now, and it's
the busing, the busing, the lunches.
Yeah, even now, I'm like, my son, I'm so excited. He's at school. He's in 10th grade. So this is sort of his first year at the high school because he didn't get to go last year. But yeah, the bus driver shortage has wreaked havoc on, I'll say, his Uber budget, because I'm like, get your ass on the bus. I'm not taking you to school.
Bus supposed to be there at 7:02. It shows up 7:50.
Or no,
I'm sorry,
6:50. And then he's like, well, I missed the bus. I'm like, well,
dude, you were still in bed.
Yeah, you need to get up earlier. And
he's a good student. He's a good kid, a good student.
Very
so it's not like.
All of this, but I was just like, if I don't put the hammer down now, I'm going to be driving him to school every damn day. So, and I can't. I've made a commitment to our business to like, okay, at this time I'm going for my run, and then it's behind my I'm desk. So. I'm being very disciplined about that schedule. But yeah, I mean, and most women who are, they're just taking a lot more home responsibilities. Most women that I've talked to are not back in their offices at all. And they're still trying to get some separation between the home life and the work life.
We're here in New York City.
That's part of what this conference is going to be discussing. We've got Sandy Glant, who is actually Jared Glant's wife. She's a rock star, and she spoke at our last event. She's going to give 5 tips to, slay your day, be more productive, and find time.
She's worth the admission price.
She really is. Her presentation just knocked it out of the park. We were all blown away.
I had we had 2 team members that were like questioning something. I'm like, did you watch Sandy's presentation? No. I said, all right, your job. Go watch Sandy's presentation and come back and tell me. I said it to you last week.
Yeah.
I said, you watched Sandy's presentation. You watched Sandy's presentation, right? And you're like, yeah. I said, well, why are you asking me this? I said, go watch it again.
Now I'm curious. What was the presentation? Is she going to be doing it at the next one?
She'll be doing it at the next one. We have someone else who's who's speaking about really 3 crucial ingredients to really harnessing your leadership skills. So that's great. We have somebody who's speaking about really confidence. She's really speaking about confidence and sourcing that and understanding where it comes from, and in an authentic way. I think in many positions, lots of career women are so busy playing the company politics that they're worried about how they're supposed to show up instead of just showing up as who they are.
I'm going to toot Ashley's horn. We don't have her signed yet, but the other day Ashley reached out to a billionaire, and 20 minutes later she was like,
"Yeah, let's
talk. I'm totally interested in this." And she's a household name. And we had a household name on last week. We had Carly Fiorino.
I jumped back and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I was like fangirl. So yes, Carly Fiorino spoke at our last one. We're hoping she's going to join us at the next one. She was the CEO of HP.
First woman CEO of a Fortune 50 company.
Yeah, and great stories about leadership
from
her as well. So, it's really about anybody who's interested to advance their career or their business. It's for anyone who's really seeking maybe some valuable tips on how to avoid burnout and do a better job of just taking control of their lives.
It's not just for women.
And
that's the other big thing. That's the other.
All of these things can be.
Ashley had someone when we started this series. We started this series in 2017 as a live event in Las Vegas, and I was sort of the. I was
the only guy in the room.
No, I was the guy behind you before the event. Said we need to do this women's event, and she had heard other people say you need to do a women's event, and like,
oh really?
We need to do this women's event, but I said if we do this women's event, and I will say this to the women. I said I'll apologize in advance. I said I don't want this to be a bitch fest and slapping down men and how bad and nasty men are in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And the reality is it's 180 degrees that. But the funny part is the women, I've been to every one of these events. We've probably done 12 or 15 of them now. And the women have the same issues that the men have. Yeah. And they think it's so unique. And I always say, like, for each one of you women who applied for that job and you didn't get it, there were 50 white guys that applied for it and didn't get it either. Yeah. And there were 150 guys that didn't even show up or apply or didn't even have as much motivation as you did to do that. I said these issues are the same whether you're male or female, transgender, whatever it is. The issues that the women think they have,
and which is great because Gus is there to sort of offer perspective, right? I think in so many ways we grasp onto something and say, this is because of this and it's not fair. And it's like, maybe it's not because of that. But while you're, busy stewing about it, and what's interesting to me too is I find a lot of women that I talk to are like, well, I got passed over for another promotion, and so I'm going and I'm going to get my MBA, and I'm like, well, that's a hell of a lot of work. Yeah. And it may have nothing to do with why you didn't get that promotion. So instead of jumping, great, if you've always wanted to get your MBA, for goodness sakes, go ahead, do that. But it's like, okay, take a second. And actually, we had somebody present a couple of conferences ago, and she just said flat out, she's like, if I think I even wanted that position, if I thought I wanted that position in 15 years from now, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring now. I'm going to go through the interview process. And then if I don't get it, I'm going to ask, what are the skills that I need to get that job? What don't I have, or in the what didn't show up for you when we had this interview, so that I know what to work on. Like I know what to focus my energy on, so that I'm prepared the next time this type of position opens up. And I thought that was just like so simple, but brilliant.
These are the issues that
yeah. And people don't not everybody thinks like that. So not everybody thinks. Maybe we think it might be logical to ask the question or to not go get an MBA just because you didn't get a job. But the amazing thing about these events and conferences is that you can teach people that they can learn things that they thought were totally different before.
Exactly. And I think just opening up our eyes to, I hadn't thought of it that way. Or, I would have never, like the reason why you didn't get that job, it may not have anything to do with the fact that you're a woman, may not have anything to do with the fact that you have, you may have an excellent experience. But we all know this, right? The job could have been practically offered to somebody else months ago, but they legally had to post it just to post it. And they're not really entertaining anybody else. To get that job, which is why all of us, started our own businesses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Rebecca,
I'm not dealing with that.
Rebecca, I have a question for you. If you were going to do an event for your business, what would you do?
I know. If I was going to do an event for my business, I have no idea. I wouldn't even as I'm talking to you guys, I'm thinking, events, they just make sense because when you go, especially if you can attend in person,
absolutely,
it's magical. I don't know that maybe I feel like that's the right word because I don't know what other word to use when you actually attend especially right now when we have had no human interaction. I mean, I suppose even virtually that it's not just magical in person. Like learning anything that we don't know brings value. And the more that you can provide value to people, the more that they'll trust you. So even if you host an event, for example, and nobody buys, all those people know about you, and all those people now believe that you're an expert. And so now it's your responsibility to continue that sales process, really, no matter who you are. If you're someone like a Sandy Glant or someone just like Rebecca Kramer, you still have to continue that process of showing up and making sure that you can continue with the same message to those people who attended the event. Because the magic is in that moment, but you have to keep the magic going even after the event. So I love that you're doing it in multiple different, like that you have different dates.
You know, we did that specific. It was so funny because, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Normally we put a 2-day conference together, and it's 2 full days, and in person, and it's a lot of information. It's coming at you rapid fire. There's great discussion. There's magic in the room.
You're drinking from the fire hose.
But it's a fire hose. And by the end, everybody's kind of baked. Like we're all just kind of like, I can't fit another idea in here. And it was actually Gus kind of turned to me. He's like, I don't want to sit in front of a computer for 2 days straight and run one of these. And I'm like, yeah, I don't either. And then I'm like, well, if we don't want to do that, I doubt our audience does either. So we thought, oh, this is so much more civilized, right? Yeah. You can still do your job. Nobody's flying anywhere. Obviously, nobody's traveling to anything with the virtual event, which is great. But you still have to carve a few hours out of your life to do it. But now it feels like, especially with the women's conference, it's like me time, right? Yeah. Like, okay, I'm going to take, these few hours once a week for a few weeks and just like give myself over to this panel of women who are going to teach me how to be better than, how to do this better and how to be more confident in my skills and in myself. And it's magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's magical.
Love that. Question. So before we wrap up, the last question that I would have, and I would ask it to both of you. I want to know, what are you the most excited about? Whether it's now or in the upcoming year, like what are you the most excited about?
Do you want to start?
No, you first.
All right. I'm super excited.
Let's see if we have the same answer.
We have invested a lot of money and time in self-education, not self-educating, educating ourselves or learning in areas that we were not proficient in. And we're daily, weekly, and going to events to learn for ourselves. We have not. I hate to blame the COVID situation, but our audience has been affected by COVID and attending events. I'm so excited to put these tools in action, and we had a small win beginning of September with the hybrid event that just. I'll be honest. I thought we were losing money on the event, and then actually we were going over numbers. I'm like, wait, not only do we not lose money, we're like back on a bigger track than we were before COVID hit. And now I'm like, wow, you know what? Like these numbers are different now, and it's because of everything we've learned. Now I'm super excited when the audience finally opens up to full throttle this business to that next level and help more people, which will eventually put more revenue in our pockets and us to be able to hire more people and turn this into a much larger organization. So that's my excitement.
Very cool.
I would say I'm exactly excited about the exact same thing. The idea that we now we have the tools and the confidence to grow our business to a level where we can help so many people. Like, okay, we've budgeted for the director to be able to go to this next conference. Okay, hey, but we can go hybrid with the other teammates, or the team, the team that just came in can go virtual. Yeah, it's not the same as being in person, but if it's education and it puts them in the right room with the right people in terms of names and being part of a conversation, to be able to get up to speed and be able to offer that in a way that we've not been able to package it before. I'm out of my mind excited.
Yeah, the world is just so much smaller now. We have access to so much more information, and to be able to actually package that up for people so that they could take the time to consume that. I mean, we all need that. We all need that.
Exactly.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I think I've gotten lots of value. I think my audience has too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. And guys, thank you so much for joining us today. So don't forget, every Thursday I am here recording my podcast, She Hustles, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to join my Facebook group, which is Social Selling Growth Hustlers on Facebook, obviously. Thanks, Gus and Ashley, and we'll see everyone else next week.